Amendments to the Constitution. This one will be a little bit different than just reading them straight through. I'm going to try and explain a little bit about them. So, we're going to start today with the Bill of Rights and with the preamble to the Bill of Rights. Congress of the United States begun and held at the city of New York on Wednesday, the 4th of March, 1789. A convention of a number of states, having at the time adopting their constitution, expressed a desire, in order to prevent misconstruction or abuse of its powers, that further declaratory and restrictive clauses should be added, and as extending the ground of public confidence in the government will best ensure the benefit ends of its institution. Resolved by the Senate and the House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled, 2/3 of both houses concurring, that the following articles be proposed to the legislatures of several states as amendments to the Constitution of the United States. All, or any of which articles, when ratified by 3/4 of said legislatures, to be valid all intents and purposes as parts of the said Constitution. Articles in addition to an amendment of the Constitution of the United States of America proposed by Congress and ratified by the legislators of several states pursuant to the 5th article of the original Constitution. And that takes us to the Bill of Rights. The First Amendment. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. So, this is where we start the discussion. So, Congress shall make no law. I think there are several laws that are unconstitutional, such as permitting for the right to assemble, the freedom of the press. Like, we can get into the argument of something like YouTube and what is press. It doesn't say that you have to go through a test or be official. Who is press? And just that YouTube is a private company, but we've more than proven over a period of time that they're a government actor. They're acting on behalf of the United States government, making them an agent of the government. And in my opinion, and in the opinion of some scholars, that makes them where they should listen to the First Amendment. So, establishment of religion, that one's been really eaten up, or the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech. So, yeah. So, and the petition the government or redress of grievances, that doesn't happen anymore, and that's more of size of our country than anything else. But it's truly just not happening. Let's see. So I think that's just about it. Another thing with the amendments to the Constitution, especially the Bill of Rights, it was always designed to put a check on government, not people. It was always designed for the government, carve outs for the government to stay out of, rather than restrictions on the people. So keep that in mind. Got some memes. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words are triggering and require federal regulation. And then, if the Second Amendment only applies to muskets, does the First Amendment only apply to the printing press? The Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This one doesn't require a lot. That shall not be infringed. That's like it's obviously being infringed on every day. We're starting to see the Supreme Court get a spine and overturn things like pistol braces, but certainly that's you should be able to bear arms and shall not be infringed. It's pretty simple. All gun laws are unconstitutional. I did a video not too long ago. Oh, it's been a while now. About the Second Amendment specifically, and it was about 2 hours long. So I'm not going to go into that vein right now. But yeah, this one's been completely eviscerated, if you ask me. The security of a free state. Militias are branded terrorist organizations and right wing. So those don't exist anymore either, or in very small numbers that are infiltrated by glowies. Oh, I wanted to go back real quick. So, and those saying that it was only applied to muskets, one of the most powerful weapons at the time, cannons. Somebody wrote to, I forget who his name, Jefferson, I want to say, and in the Federalist Papers, and I'm trying to remember if it was Jefferson. I guess it's not important. Wrote to him and asked him if they could own cannons, and he said, "Yeah, of course." Like, basically, I mean, so there was no thought to restrict the most powerful weapons at the time. So why would they do so now? And a weapon's only powerful. Uh, it's only a tool. It's not powerful or not powerful. It's a tool, and it depends on how you use and respect that tool. Anatomy of a pew. Bang button, metal holdy thing, magical fire burst, and freedom seed. For all those didn't know what a pew looked like. The Third Amendment. No soldier shall, in time of peace, be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in any time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. This one don't really see anymore, which is probably a good thing. But this was one of their primary concerns, and very clearly in the Declaration of Independence, the British soldiers came and took a lot, food, and we're not great guests. Let's put it that way. And it was really a cause of concern and really something that they wanted to flush out. That wouldn't be an acceptable form of doing things. So, because soldiers could take anything they wanted. We do see a lot of eminent domain work, which could be tangentially related, but I don't believe it's the same thing. I think it's just general government overreach. So. The Fourth Amendment. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. Every once in a while, you'll get a Fourth Amendment claim. Every once in a while, you'll get some pushback on the Fourth Amendment. However, the government largely runs over this one too. You can get a warrant for anything at any time, and there's never any real pushback or disciplinary action taken if the warrant was not appropriate. Um, I think that this one is another one that's been walked all over, unfortunately. Um, but yeah, it's just like the others where it's there and there's some mysticism about it, but uh, yeah, they're not following. Again, this isn't a check on the people. This is a check on the government. Oh, anyways, Amendment 5. I don't know why it Streamer does funny things to PowerPoint. Uh, no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a persistent or indictment of a grand jury, and except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia, when an actual service in time of war or public danger. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life and or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just cause. Um, the last part, private property taken for public use without just cause. That's more the eminent domain stuff we've been talking about, or we talked about with the third. Um, it doesn't really. I mean, is it excessive? Yes. Is it um, unreasonably excessive? I don't think it's as egregious as some of the other violations of amendments. Um, you could very well make a case for civil asset forfeiture, um, which is, oh, you have $500 in cash, we're going to take it because we think you might be a drug dealer, and you never get the money back. Um, and it goes into the general fund of the police department, kind of stealing, but yeah. Um, we we see this one in the courts actually held up pretty well if you plead the fifth or invoke your Fifth Amendment right. It's usually well respected unless your name is Fluffer Boy. Um, so there's usually some deference to protecting the Fifth Amendment. So, Sixth Amendment. In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, to be confronted with the witness against him, to have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have the assistive counsel for his defense. Sixth Amendment. So you see a lot of people that waive right to speedy trial, um, because our system's broken and just can't handle it. So they'll entice them to do so. Um, Public trial, most of them, for the most part, are still public. Um, I think that there should be an advent of more cameras in courtrooms because that's the public square at this point. It's more than just the neighborhood. Um, Being able to walk down to the courthouse Impartial jury of the state and district where the crime shall have been committed. For the most part, that's followed. We see a lot of, especially with President Trump currently, a lot of district shopping, and we see that in the um, we see that in a lot of the federal things. We see district shopping. What would be a favorable district? Um, blah blah blah. Obtaining witnesses in his favor. Yeah, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense. Yep, that happens. So, um, to be formed in nature and cause of the accusation. Yeah. We're starting to see some of the to be confronted by the witness against him eroded in some of the court cases we watched, such as the guy with the mask. Um, Wholly inappropriate, in my opinion. Seventh Amendment to the Constitution. In suits at common law for the value in controversy shall exceed $20. The right of trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States according to the rules of common law. So we've extended upon that, and the value in controversy over $20. That's, I mean, pretty much everything is. If you're going to court, it's for more than $20. Um, so yeah, that one would be more of a law based for a lawyer. Um, but it appears that we probably are following that one in due cause. So, the Eighth Amendment. Excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted. Uh, so if we're just going the letter of the law, yes, I think that there's a reasonable success with this. If we're going on truth and reality, to hire a lawyer for your own defense on some trumped up charges that any prosecutor can bring and try and push through is excessively expensive, especially if you want to win. I think there needs to be reforms and the process that allow for everyman Joe to be able to provide a sustainable defense against things because it's gotten out of hand. Prosecutor can bring charges, and you, unless you have $500,000 laying around, you're probably going to jail. and and that's that two-tiered system of justice. That's where that doesn't fit. The Ninth Amendment. The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. I'm gonna be honest, I have no freaking idea what the hell that means. Of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage other people. Oh, so these don't supersede. So if you're being arrested, this is how I understand it. So if you're being arrested and charged by the state, you don't then get your constitutional rights on top of it. Like you forfeit your constitutional rights. And the 10th Amendment. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited by it to the states are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. So this just means any powers not outlined belong to the states. So when we're seeing a lot of these debates, states' rights, things like Roe versus Wade never should have happened because it was unconstitutional. It should have certainly went to the states, which it is now. Um, and then we wouldn't have had all the controversy. Uh, the states are supposed to have all the power in the government. It's not supposed to be this powerful, overreaching behemoth of the federal government. It was never the way that it was supposed to be, and it's obviously caused some issues. So, but that is the Bill of Rights. We have 17 more amendments that we're gonna get at a later date. Probably gonna split them up a little bit, but yeah. So that is our Bill of Rights by the original founders. The things that they thought should be outlined immediately. I think that they're pretty solid rights. There's a lot of clarity to them, and that makes up what we call the Bill of Rights, Amendments 1 through 10.